Hello, everybody. My name is Meg Shirley. I'm a recreation therapist at KidsAbility. Thank you for joining us this evening for our summer camp planning workshop for Kitchener-Waterloo. Tonight is an opportunity to look at some of the opportunities for summer camp programs and the different types of inclusion supports that are available for children with special needs in our region. And I'm joined today by Olivia Curtis from the City of Kitchener, who will talk a little bit about the City of Kitchener's inclusion supports and how to access them. So I am going to begin tonight. I will share my screen. Here we go, and talk a little bit about summer camp planning. So what are the steps that you want to take when you are beginning planning a summer camp experience for your child who might have some different support needs? So number one is just determine what your family's needs are. How many weeks of camp are you looking for? How close to home do you want the camp to be? What are those drop-off logistics and camp hours that you need to make it work for your family and your schedule? And then are there any financial considerations in terms of how much you have available or what your budget is in terms of what you're able to spend? When you know what your needs are, then what are your goals? What type of experience do you want your child to have? Is it really about just having fun? Is it learning new skills? Is it having opportunities to practice social skills? Or potentially looking at, there are therapy camps or other ones if you want more specific therapy skills and things like that. There are camps available that target those types of things as well. When you know what your needs are and you've got a sense of what your goals are, then really thinking about what type of support needs would your child have, and that might change a little bit depending on the camp environment. Some children might need a little bit more support and supervision in a larger camp or perhaps around water, whereas in a smaller camp environment, perhaps they would be able to participate without more inclusion support. So really thinking about the environment and what are those challenging situations that your camper might experience, and then thinking about what type of thing might they need support with along the way. So some of the questions are, how independent are they with toileting? Because that's a big one, because some camps might provide personal care support and other camps might not. Do you have any safety considerations, and how does that relate to the actual environment of the camp? How close is it to busy roads? Is there water, and how protected is the water, and how much supervision would be required to keep your camper safe in situations like that. So once you have an idea of sort of what support needs your camper might have in that camp environment, now is time to really get out and look at what are all the different camps available, and what are your sort of first, second, and third choices. Some camps are going to be running 7, 8, 9 weeks of programming through the summer. Other camps might just have 1 or 2 weeks, something like a dance camp or a karate program or different things like that. Might offer only really sort of special camps during really specific weeks of the summer. So when you're really trying to put your schedule together, you're going to have to keep that in mind as well. When you know what your schedule might look like, now you need your funding plan. So is this something that you have special services at home or an OAP budget that you can help with, or perhaps you don't need funding assistance, but if you do need funding support, you're going to need to be aware of what's out there and how to access it and what the timelines and steps for accessing funding, because often you will want to put your funding in place and then be able to know what you have so that you can then register for the camps of your choice. So the last step is to register. So when you have everything else in place, then you, when the registration opens, you need to register and then provide information to the camp to help them be prepared to provide the support that your child needs during the summer. So you want to be able to, if there is an inclusion program, provide very specific information through that. And if you're looking at a camp that doesn't have a formal inclusion program, we'll talk a little bit at the end about different ways that you can provide information about your child to set them up for success and set the camp up for success, because really parents, children, and camps all want it to be successful for that child. So the different types of support options that are available, some camps have formal inclusion programs where they will offer sort of formal 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 support. We found over the last few summers, a lot of camps that might have offered different ratios of support are now offering just 1-to-1 because of COVID and cohorting and different things like that. So that might look a little bit different again this summer. And some camps might not offer specific one-to-one support, but might have a low ratio program. So they might specialize specifically in programming for children with special needs, and usually have maybe about a 3-to-1 ratio where they would have 3 campers for every 1 staff. Or many camps will also welcome you to provide a support worker as a family. So you might have a worker through special services at home, or might have a babysitter, or sometimes a teenage sibling, or as an EA is often a common person who might provide that camp. So if you have somebody that knows your child well, that might be available to attend camp with them, then that is often an option as well. So if you are using a camp that has a formal inclusion program, then here are some of the questions that you might want to ask. So find out what support needs the camp's inclusion staff are able to provide. And really the biggest difference that we find here is that some camps are able to provide personal care support and other camps are not. So that's often the #1 question that families are asking, is who can handle a child who might require diapering support or transfers, or feeding support or different things like that. So you really need to ask, what if you have a camper who requires personal care support, do your research in terms of what those staff are trained to do, what they're comfortable to do, and what they're able to provide. A lot of camps that have formal inclusion programs are going to reach out to you, at least to have a conversation about with who the inclusion person is going to be, connecting with the child, connecting with the family, so that there's been contact before the week. So often that'll happen about a week or 2 before your camper is scheduled for camp. So there will be that personal contact in terms of that. If it's a smaller program, you might need to sort of make personal arrangements in terms of going out and seeing the program, meeting the staff ahead of time, if that's something that would help your camper to feel more confident and feel more comfortable entering a new environment, then that's something that might be able to be arranged as well. So you want to be able to prepare your camper as much as possible, giving them information about the camp's routines, what types of activities they might expect, how many kids they might see in a group, the location. You can often find pictures on the organization's websites, or just Google it so that they can see a little bit about the location and what that camp might look like. And sometimes we're getting back into times where you might be able to organize in-person visits a little bit more easily as well. So if that's something that would help your child to transition into a new environment, if they've seen the environment before and met some key people, then that's something that can help set your child up for success. And then giving information, again, we'll talk about this even more, but making sure that you have provided information to the camp so that they are prepared and their toolbox is as full as possible to be able to connect quickly with your camper, form a relationship, and that starts off positive, and be able to sort of anticipate where those support needs are going to be, so that they can have as much as possible ready ahead of time, but also really setting up those routines and those expectations and the communication from the start so that the week is successful right from the beginning. So if you're providing your own support worker for a child to attend camp, make sure that you connect with the camp, ideally before you register your camper, just so that the camp is aware and can build it into any of their sort of cohorting or COVID ratios or different things like that. So really starting off the relationship with the camp with as much open communication as possible, telling them about your child, telling them what support is coming, and what you expect that support worker to do, and also, sort of what you would like the relationship to be with the camp. So for example, some children who might require some nursing support, might attend camp with a nurse, but perhaps the nurse isn't in a position or isn't prepared to really be providing inclusion support. So that's really something that you want to work out ahead of time, and sort of whose role is it to be modifying activities or assisting with some of the physical needs, and then is the nurse there to just support G-tube feeding or other sort of medical needs, does the camper still need inclusion support from the camp, even if they're attending with a nurse to meet some of their other medical needs. So if it's a complicated situation like that, just making sure that that communication happens and happens early so that everybody kind of knows the expectations and that child is supported and able to participate to the best of their abilities. Make sure you connect with the camp to see if they have any requirements about who a personal support worker could be, especially if you're looking at a teenage sibling or a babysitter. Sometimes there will be age requirements or qualification requirements depending on the situation. So make sure that you've connected to the camp, that they know who your support worker is, and that it meets their needs for their requirements. Start looking early, because those who can provide support are often booked up by other families. So make sure you ask and give somebody, firm dates as soon as possible. If you have somebody that your child already knows, who already knows your child, then that's going to sort of help set them up for success a little bit sooner, and make sure that support worker knows what they're expected to do at camp, that they might need to bring a change of clothes on the wet and wild day, and they're expected to be part of the group and participate themselves and really sort of enjoy that camp energy and get right into it. So trying to find somebody who has that personality that can really just join in and participate and be part of the group, again, just facilitates that inclusion and that participation. So the camps in our area that have sort of more formalized support programs include the City of Kitchener and the City of Waterloo. So that Olivia will get into details in a few minutes to give you more information about that. So Olivia works with the City of Kitchener, and they facilitate the inclusion for both the City of Kitchener and the City of Waterloo. YMCA, so now it's the YMCA of Three Rivers, have an inclusion program as well. And they are able to provide inclusion support at any of their day camps throughout Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, their outdoor camps, Guelph, Stratford. That's all under the umbrella of the Three Rivers right now. So they're in the process of sort of formalizing what they're calling their camper access program. Registration is open for that. And last I heard, there might be a few spaces available at a few of the camps, but things are filling pretty quick. Camp K also has a inclusion program. Last I heard, I think they are fairly full, if not completely full. And then Engineering Science Quest also has a more formal inclusion program. So when I say formal inclusion program, it doesn't necessarily mean that they provide one-to-one support. For example, Engineering Science Quest or ESQ doesn't technically provide one-to-one support, but they do offer participation supports in different ratios, really to just to be there when needed and to be able to back off and promote independence whenever needed as well. So when you're looking at choosing which camp, really we want to encourage families to choose the camp that's going to be the best fit for your child, and not the camp that provides the level of support that your child needs. And I know it's a balancing act, and logistics always have to factor in as well in terms of location and camp hours and drop-off times. But really, we want to set your child up for success. So finding the camp that's going to have the activities that are motivating, the environment that's not going to cause sensory challenges, the sort of the peers that are really going to be the best social fit. So if you can prioritize finding the camp that's the best fit and then problem solving some of the other logistics, that is going to do the best we can to set your child up for success so that they have a smooth summer, so that everybody has a great week, and that everybody comes home happy and tired at the end of the day. So looking at all the camps that are out there, there are, day camps and overnight camps. There are overnight camps in the area, and not too far away, that provide different levels of inclusion support as well. Some camps are designed specifically for children with special needs. They often have lower ratios of programming, staff that are really familiar with supporting transitions and communication and behavior supports and things like that. And there are camps that just have really strong inclusion programs and really strong inclusion philosophies. So thinking about, does your child do best in that sort of specialized environment? Or perhaps you really do want them in an inclusive environment around typically developing peers with inclusion supports to help that participation as needed. So finding, again, looking what camp is best fit for your child, what level of support, and is that problem solving that can happen? Is that something you can provide? Is there an LIT, perhaps like a leader in training through the camp, or a camp volunteer that might be able to meet your campers' support needs? So really getting creative and thinking about all the options that might be available, and which ones would meet your campers' needs. The camp environment, is there a lot of indoor activities or outdoor activities? How does your camper handle heat and bugs? Are they safe around water? Do they require extra supervision? All these sorts of different activities. Again, we've found over the last few years that a lot of the camps that might have provided many large group activities, big outdoor wide games, drop-offs and pickups sort of in a gym where there might be multiple groups gathering at the same time. A lot of those things have changed, and a lot of those situations were challenging ones for the families that we work with. So a lot of the COVID protocols have actually allowed us to find more camps that are a good fit because the groups tend to be smaller. There's less sort of large group drop-off or pickup. And those sort of smaller group activities tend to be a nice fit for a lot of the families that we work with. And then thinking about the physical accessibility of the camp, how far is it between, where the campers spend most of their time and the washrooms? Is it going to be fatiguing and endurance? If they need a chair to sit or to rest, is that available? Or, will they be outside or at picnic tables or just under a tree to eat their lunch? So a lot of those little accessibility needs, thinking about the terrain and what equipment they might need to be successful in that environment as well. Will the camp activities be motivating for your child? If they're going to be looking forward to every day because they're swimming and that's how they're going to get out the door in the morning, and then that can be a huge draw and make things go a lot smoother as well. Okay, so where do you find information about camps? So we've been working hard on the KidsAbility website to gather and organize as much information as possible, because we know every camp has different dates and different processes and different timelines and different funding. So we've been trying really hard to gather all that information, do the research for you, and organize it in a way to make it as easy as possible for you to figure out what your options are and how to execute that. Because even when you have all the information, it's still hard to get your timelines in order so you can register for the right camp at the right time, because everybody does it differently. But we're trying our best. So on the KidsAbility website, there is a camp directory as well as a camp information. So it says KidsAbility camp information. It's not information about KidsAbility camps. It's information on the KidsAbility website about the camps in our region, as well as all the other things that you need for your summer camp planning. So the funding opportunities, the timelines, the different virtual camp fairs that we're hosting and things like that. So that's a really great place to go to start to sort of do a survey of your options for camp information. And then so often, again, a really great place to get good camp information and good recommendations is word of mouth. So other families that you're connected to, find out where their kids have gone to camp, what have they been happy with, where have they not been happy and why, and you can use that information in your camp planning as well. Okay, so one of the things that I mentioned there was our virtual camp fairs. So we have already hosted a virtual camp fair for overnight camps and a virtual camp fair for day camps targeting sort of typically camp age children, ages about 4 to 12. And then we have one more virtual camp fair coming up on February 28th. That's looking at day camps for teens and programming for adults as well. So those two camp fairs that have already happened, those recordings are available already on the KidsAbility website on that camp information page that I mentioned. At the end of this slideshow, I will log into the KidsAbility website quickly and just show everybody where those two pages are. So when we look at funding for summer camps, there are funds that are disability specific and there are funds that are income specific. So some of the disability specific funds that you can use for summer camp, there is the Autism Direct Funding. They have a specific summer camp fund that needs to be applied for. Usually the window is throughout January. Autism Ontario has a summer camp reimbursement fund as well, and I believe the window for that has not closed yet. If you have a child with cerebral palsy, the Ontario Federation for CP has a what they call their LEAF fund, so their Life Enriching Activity Fund, and that can be used for camp funding as well. Muscular Dystrophy Canada has a specific summer camp fund that you can apply for. The Waterloo Wellington Down Syndrome Society has a summer camp bursary for their members. Special Services at Home funding can be used for summer camp, as well as the OAP Autism Childhood Budget. Those funds can be used for summer camp as well. Some of the other funding sources that are related to disability, but are usually tied to income, would include some camps have their own internal funding programs that they do their own fundraising or are able to sort of on a case-by-case basis apply some reduced rates or fee subsidy for families. For the City of Kitchener and the City of Waterloo, they both offer a leisure card or leisure access card program, and that would provide up to $300 per family member to be used towards either City of Kitchener or City of Waterloo programs. That's for residents of Kitchener or residents of Waterloo. City of Waterloo, their leisure access funding is a little bit more flexible, that it can be used for affiliated minor sports or arts organizations as well, so not just City of Waterloo programs. Jumpstart is run by through Canadian Tire, their Jumpstart program, and that can be applied to camps that have a significant amount of physical activity. So I think technically it's about 50% of active games and activities would qualify for a Jumpstart camp. The YMCA has their own internal fee assistance program. So they have a website called Fee Assist. That's the gateway to accessing their internal funding. We also have through the House of Friendship and their neighborhood outreach program, there's a summer camp sponsorship fund. So often they are able to provide about $300 per family or per camper to attend summer camp in the region as well. And for certain camps, the region of Waterloo, the child care subsidy program can be applied to certain camps. Mostly it's the YMCA or camps run through child care centers, but there are a couple of exceptions as well. And I have just gotten the list of those camps. So if you're interested in that and you have outreach or Region of Waterloo child care subsidy, you can reach out to me directly and I can get you that information about which camps can be used for that fund. So sharing information about your child. We know that every child is unique and everybody wants them to be successful. The child wants to have a great week. The camp staff and the camp counselors want to have a great week, and the camp director wants it to go smoothly. And we know that you as parents want it to go smoothly as well. So really open communication and information sharing is only going to help to set the camper up for success. So some camps inclusion, if they have a more specific inclusion form, they might ask many questions, and you've got the chance to write as much as you would like to share that information about your child. Other camps don't have as formal of an intake process or the questions sorted ahead of time. So there's always an opportunity for you to share the information that you think is most relevant for your child at a camp environment. So sometimes putting together a 1 or 2 page all about me form. And that's something that you might also share with new teachers or have available for supply teachers at school or new babysitters or other people, you know, a new dance instructor or karate program. If they're going to join something and participate, that it's an opportunity to sort of give somebody a quick view of what your child's strengths are, what it is they like to do, give them some tips to form a quick and strong connection with your child. And then also give them a little bit of information about some of the areas that your child might struggle, other strategies that work really well for them at home or at school. How do they do with transitions or helper jobs or what it looks like when your child is feeling frustrated, what it looks like when they're feeling overwhelmed, what are some strategies or language that they're familiar with in terms of, calming or regulating or different things like that. So giving that information to a camp counselor ahead of time just really helps them to be ready, to be organized, to know what tricks or tools to try first when they see your camper doing a behavior that you've described. Then they know how to read it and understand it and can support them quickly and easily when they have that information. So here's just an example of what an All About Me form could look like. This is the template that we've used, and I'll switch to the next page, and that has just sort of a sample of a child that we've invented. But these different categories are things that you can, pick and choose what makes the most sense for you. So if there's sensory considerations or medical things that they should know about, things about communication, motivation, what they might need help with, and then those strategies that will help them to be successful. So here's an example of what that could look like. So here is just a child. I'll give you guys a minute to take a look at this. And I do have a resource as well that I will email out afterwards to participants that talk a little bit more about some of the different categories that you might think about, or some of those strategies and tools that we find are fairly common that you could pick and choose which ones you think apply best to your child, just to help you get started if this is a tool that you'd like to create for yourself. So what other things can you do to prepare your child? We've talked about preparing the camp to be ready and have the strategies to support your child, but how can you get your child ready for camp? So talk to them about, something that's coming up. Be excited. They're going to read your energy, and if you're feeling nervous and you're not sure if they're going to be okay, then they're going to pick up on that energy. So be confident and be excited that this is going to be an awesome week, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to be really excited at the end of every day to find out what they did and what they learned. So just talking to them about it's coming. If you have names of who their inclusion worker is going to be, or if you can get a name of a camp counselor, then that helps as well, that you can start to make your child familiar with that. Looking on the computer at videos, if you have them available on the social media for the camp, photos on their website, anything like that, that'll help your child feel more familiar with the space and what those expectations might look like. If you have the opportunity to request a weekly schedule ahead of time, that you can talk about if there's going to be themes either for the week or specific themes of the day, or what the general flow of activities might look like. Then again, some of these more that your child understands what it's going to be like and the expectations, then they're going to be less anxious and have that opportunity to be more excited. And that's going to help everything go more smoothly too. Some camps might have their own social stories, or you could potentially write a social story about what it's like to go to camp. And that's just an opportunity to really present the information to the child in a really kid-friendly way that talks about, I'm going to go to camp for 2 weeks in July. I am going to go to the Bright Up Community Center. Every afternoon, I'm going to go swimming. I will stay with my group and listen to my camp counselor. So just sort of setting up a little bit of the routine, a little bit of the expectations, and that at the end of every day, my mom or dad is going to pick me up, and then we'll go home and get a good night's sleep so I can go back to camp again the next day. So talking a little bit about what that might be like, just so that they understand what the new routine is going to be like for the week. So conclusions for this part, and then I'll log in quickly to the KidsAbility website just to show what that looks like to access the camp information in the camp directory. But really selecting the camp that is going to be the best fit for your child is the #1 step in setting them up for success for the summer. So if it's activities that are interesting for them, a cohort of peers that are going to be a really good fit for them, and the right supports in place, is going to help the week just go smoother for everybody. If you can be as open as possible about your child, then that all helps to set them up for success. It gives the camp information ahead of time that if they feel, our staff aren't, the best fit to provide those support needs, then, that gives you a chance to find a camp that is the right fit. and being able to give them tools and strategies ahead of time, giving them information so that the camp counselor knows 1 or 2 or 3 things that your child loves, gives them that just that little bit that they can form a quick and instant connection with them, then that's going to help get the week off to a really great start. And then having those tools and strategies that they can sort of understand if there are, you know, behavior challenges or situations that your child might find overwhelming, then preparing the camp ahead of time that this might be a challenge. These are the things that work best. This is the language that we use to help them calm or regulate. Then they can, if they do get into a situation where there's challenges, then they've got a toolbox ready to go to help solve those challenges. And if you need more help, then I am available to support families who access either the Kitchener or Waterloo sites of KidsAbility. And we can connect individually and talk a little bit more about your child and your situation. And I can help you navigate what's out there, the funding resources, the camps that might be the best fit if you're looking for additional information or support. So you will have my email, so go ahead and reach out to me or give me a call if that's something that you would like a little bit more individualized help with. So that's all that for that part of the presentation. I'm going to quickly log over to the KidsAbility website to show you how to find our camp directory and our camp information page, and then I'll pass it over to Olivia, and she's going to talk about the City of Kitchener and the City of Waterloo, what their camps are like and what the process is for accessing inclusion supports. So I am going Okay, I am going to go ahead and pass it over to Olivia and let her do her section, and I'll show the KidsAbility website at the end. I've got to get it set up from the back here.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia, and I am the Inclusion Services Coordinator for the City of Kitchener. And with that role, I also do the inclusion service work for the City of Waterloo. So tonight I'm going to talk about the different services that we can provide through inclusion services, as well as the different camp options at both the City of Kitchener and City of Waterloo. So off the bat, our inclusion support is available for any City of Kitchener and City of Waterloo camp. And with that, we also offer year-round support as well. So for each summer, we can offer up to 2 weeks of support per camper. And in order to access that inclusion support, we need each individual to have an inclusion membership. So in order to complete that inclusion membership, we have an online application. And if you don't have access to a computer, you can also give me a call and I can do that over the phone for you as well. So as you're registering for summer camp, you would make sure that you have your completed inclusion membership, and then you would go ahead and register for the camp of your choice. So the 2 weeks of camp, and then you would also register for the corresponding 2 weeks of inclusion support program. So that when registering in the camp secures your child's spot in camp, and then registering for the inclusion support program guarantees that your child has one-to-one support for that week that they are going into camp. So to get started, you can go to the City of Kitchener Inclusion Services website, or you can contact me directly. My information will be at the end of this presentation. All of our inclusion staff have experience working with people with disabilities. They typically have a background in education, recreation therapy, psychology, or social work. All of our staff are trained prior to the start of camp in nonviolent crisis intervention, as well as de-escalation strategies, and all our staff are trained in personal care, feeding, and lifts and transfers. So if any of your participants have any sort of complex medical needs, that's something that we can accommodate within the City of Kitchener program. And we also offer additional training to both city staff and our inclusion workers in program adaptation and modifications. So we get a lot of questions about parents who their child does 2 weeks of inclusion support, but their parent thinks that they can continue on without inclusion support for the following weeks. We can assist in that transition, as well as kind of be the bridge that closes the gap between inclusion services and the camp staff. In terms of programs that are offered by the City of Kitchener throughout the summer, our largest one is something called the neighborhood camps. And so that is available for children ages 4 to 12, and it's across multiple community centers. We have about 10 in total this year, as well as some specialty sites. So camp locations could include Chandler Mowat Community Center, Country Hills, Dune Pioneer Park, and Stanley Park Community Center, as well as many more. The full list of camp programs is available on the City of Kitchener website under summer programs. Our neighborhood camp programs cost about $115 a week. And with our shortened week, so that's the week of August 2nd, there is a price reduction for that camp. And camp operating hours are from 9 to 4:30 with an ability to get before and after care. So that extends the day from 8:30 to 5, and that's an additional $12 a week. I also should mention that getting inclusion support is a free service, and our inclusion staff would be available for those extended hours should you require it. This year, the City of Kitchener has brought back 2 aquatics camps, and those camps provide opportunities to participate in indoor and outdoor activities as well as pool activities. I should mention that whether or not there are pool activities is based on public health guidelines, so it is always subject to change, but currently they are planning to run pool activities this summer. Our 2 camp locations for the aquatic camps is Grand River Recreation Complex, so that is the Lyle Hallman Pool, and that's available for children ages 4 to 10, and it's divided up into 2 camp groups. And at Bright Up Center, they are offering 4 camps between 4 different age groups. For children ages 4 to 11. And with Bright Up and Lyle Hallman camps, the in-pool portion is programmed based on the age of the child. So younger camp participants will participate in more structured swim lessons, while the older age groups, specifically at Bright Up, will get free swim time. The camp operating hours for aquatic camps are also 9 to 4:30, and they are still trying to organize whether or not before and after care will be available for those camps. Within the City of Kitchener, we also offer a couple of different youth programs for youth with disabilities. So this year, for our 2nd year in a row, we're running something called the Youth Sense program, and it's for youth ages 11 to 14. Last year cost about $150 per week, and those rates will be updated on our City of Kitchener website shortly. Youth Sense runs typically 9 to 3, but I believe this year we are actually going to run at 9 to 4 p.m. and it will be held at the Bridgeport Community Center. So our 2 weeks of operation would be July 25th to 29th and August 2nd to 5th. August 2nd to 5th is that shortened week. Both of our Youth Sense programs are run with a 3-to-1 ratio for staffing and with a maximum enrollment of 10 participants. We do offer one-to-one support in those programs as well. But again, you would need to specifically request that one-to-one support for your youth. Otherwise, the ratio will be 3-to-1. So 3 campers to 1 staff. Our All About Youth program is run at Stanley Park Community Center, and that's for youth ages 13 to 17. Again, it's about $150 a week, running from 9 to 4. And those do not have last weeks of August 15th, and we will be running again with that 3 camp week. And we again offer that one-to-one support options. And if you are accessing our youth camp services, we also ask that, again, we limit those registration numbers to 2 weeks per summer in order to accommodate, since we do have a low participant maximum. So for our youth camp programming, our goal within both of those camp programs is to build friendships, help our participants gain confidence, and strengthen their social, recreational, and life skills. Each week we are planning based on the needs of our participants that are coming into the camp program that week. And that is what makes the inclusion membership so crucial, not only for the one-to-one staff who might be assisting your child in a program by giving them all the information regarding your child's needs, potential triggers, things that they love to do, things that they do really well, but it also gives us the opportunities to provide a more participant-specific programming for the summer. And within that program, we will also be looking at providing special guests, whether that be on Zoom or in person, group outings. Traditionally, it was we would go out on field trips, but this year we are anticipating that we won't be providing field trips, but that we could be doing local group outings. Previous years, youth camp has gone to Zares to go grocery shopping to pick up supplies before we do baking, or go on long nature walks, especially around the Bridgeport area, which is lovely. And we also organize some really cool fun group activities. Bridgeport has an awesome outdoor rink that we have used for skating and surfboarding, skateboarding, and different things like that. And it's also just really great because it's a low ratio program and it's also a sensory friendly environment. So we make sure that we have quiet rooms and we have different spaces for the youth if they require some additional space between campers, or if they just require time to themselves throughout the day. Now, City of Waterloo camps, which is also supported by Inclusion Services, they are also available for children ages 4 to 12, and they have 3 camp locations across the city. They have Rim Park, the Waterloo Memorial Rec Complex, and Albert McCormick Community Center. And the only center that is offering half days across City of Kitchener and City of Waterloo is that Albert McCormick site. They're offering full days and partial days. However, that is only available to children ages 4 to 7. The camp cost ranges from $157 a week to $205 a week. It's a price decrease for the half days as well as for the younger participants, while the older participants might get to participate in some more cool activities. So that is why there is a price differentiation there. The camp operating hours are for 8 to 5 p.m. and that is including those extended days, and there's no additional fee for that extended day. Drop off is between 8 and 9 a.m. and pickup is between 4 and 5 p.m. City of Waterloo offers a number of contract specialty camps, which is also covered by Inclusion Services. So each of these programs, the age range varies, and so it'd be really dependent on the program if your child would qualify for this program. And all that information will be available on the City of Waterloo website, or should you register for an inclusion membership, I can also share that information with you as the time comes. So contract specialty camps that they are looking at running this year is the Evolve Skateboard and Scooter Camp. It's an outdoor camp outside of the Waterloo Memorial Rec Complex, been running for a number of years and typically run by staff who have a lot of previous experience skateboarding or scootering. We have 2 Little Medical School camps, so the Little Medical School and the Little Medical Vet. The participants will also get a little medical bag to take home with them. They are offering a wilderness medicine camp, a focus on nature photography camp, which is an opportunity for participants who might be a little bit more interested in photography or spending more time in nature. They go on nature walks and participants get the opportunity to take a lot of different photos, learn different photo techniques, and they get to create a slideshow that will be uploaded at the end of the week, and they'll get to take home with them. There are a couple of different STEMotic programs. So there's Lego robotics and Scratch coding and animation programs. And lastly, there's also a film camp in a box program where children will learn about filmmaking, claymation, and Lego animation. So as Meg mentioned, there are a couple of fee assistance options available, and it depends on what city you live in. So the City of Kitchener fee assistance is only available to City of Kitchener residents, and the fee assistance programs for the City of Waterloo is only available for City of Waterloo residents, as well as those fee assistance can only be applied to the specific municipalities programs. So if you are eligible for a City of Kitchener fee assistance, that money cannot be applied towards City of Waterloo and vice versa. Applications for both of those fee assistant programs are completed online. There's a couple of criteria that need to be met, one including be able to prove proof of address, so being a local municipal resident, needing to fall within the low income bracket. Both websites have information as to what dictates how someone falls within that bracket. And then lastly, we would need to show that you're either a permanent resident of Canada or a Canadian citizen. So the City of Kitchener, you can Google leisure access and all that information will be available there. And City of Waterloo, it's fee assistance. As Meg mentioned, City of Waterloo offers up to $300 for any family member towards City of Waterloo recreational programs. And City of Kitchener, there's a slight differentiation. It's $300 for children, so people under the age of 18, and then it actually drops to $265 for adults. So our registrations have not yet opened for either the City of Kitchener or City of Waterloo. So City of Kitchener will open Tuesday, March 1st at 8:30 a.m. All of the dates and descriptions of the city programs are available on our Active Kitchener, which is the online registration portal, or you can also search City of Kitchener summer programs, and all of that information will be available there as well. And again, I can also send that information to you directly if need be. City of Waterloo, same thing. They will be opening Wednesday, March 9th at 8:30 a.m. And all their dates and descriptions are viewable on Active Waterloo or by looking up City of Waterloo summer programs. I'm not sure if they are yet up to date on what programs are being offered, and that information is on their website. But as what I shared with you tonight, that information is current. And so with that, with that registration, I just reiterate that when you go to sign your child up for the City of Kitchener or City of Waterloo summer camps, that you register them in the corresponding inclusion barcode to ensure that they have the one-to-one guaranteed spot. So for any questions for the Waterloo and their camp programs, you can email camp@waterloo.ca or by calling 519-886-1177, extension 27280, or their information is also at waterloo.ca/camp. City of Kitchener, our information can be found at kitchener.ca/camps, or you can call 519-741-2380 and you'll be connected with our summer camp coordinators. And anything regarding inclusion can be sent to me. So even if it's a question about Waterloo, I can deal with that question and concern there. So you can email me, olivia.curtis@kitchener.ca, or you can call me. My number is 519-741-2200, extension 7229. And you can also visit the City of Kitchener Inclusion Services website. It has a full explanation of the different inclusion services we offer, not only throughout the summer, but also throughout the year, as well as that online inclusion membership application. So that is everything for me. If anyone has any questions for Meg or I, as well as I think Meg, you're going to share the website.
All right, I'll go ahead and do a quick share. There we go. So this is the KidsAbility website. If you click on services, you will be launched to the A to Z menu. So the two web pages that I will point out is our camp directory and our camp information pages. So if we click on the camp directory, our option right now is summer camp directory. We hope in the future to be also able to provide March break and other holiday break directories, but we're not quite there yet. And our summer camp directory, you can choose between overnight summer camps, day summer camps. Those are targeting typical camper ages, about ages 4 to 12, or a specific camp directory for programs if you have somebody in that transitional or the teenage years, looking at teen and adult programs as well. So if you click on our day camp directory, hopefully it's up to date. We just got it updated, I think, this morning with the latest, but it allows you to scroll through mostly alphabetical and link to every camp that we have here. So what we have featured here are camps that we have relationships with that have formal inclusion programs, or that we know either we've KidsAbility families have had great experiences with, or organizations that have gone out of their way to problem solve and come up with creative solutions to accommodate and modify and make sure camp is accessible to children with differing abilities. So that's how they're included here. So there are some camps that are specifically for children with special needs and other ones that are just inclusive, either with formal inclusion programs or other ones that we just know go out of their way and try the best they can to make it work whenever possible, working side by side with a family to figure out a solution to set a camper up for success. So that's our day camp directory, a great place to start when you're looking at camp options. And then if we go back to our navigation, we'll click right to services. Olivia, tell me if at some point the Zoom is not following along here. Back to C for camp information. And here is where we just try to keep information for families, everything that you're going to need to know to get yourself organized to set up that summer, where the workshops and camp fairs, when they're going to be held, how to register, the funding information. So everything that all the information that we've gathered, we put here. We compile them also in PDF form. So for the Kitchener-Waterloo area, this is the summer camp planning handout. So this was emailed to many families in early January. If you do not regularly receive emails from me, either about just camp information or general recreation information, then send me an email. And if you have a KidsAbility client, then I can get you on that list. You don't have to be active. If you have ever accessed services at KidsAbility, I can get you on the list. So that's all we need to make that happen. I haven't quite figured out, if there are service providers in the audience, how to get other people that aren't associated. Just the way we manage this list is through our client client information system. But if you are really interested in receiving this type of information, we'll try to figure out a way to make it happen. So that's the type of thing that we try to email out to families. Again, we have 2 email lists, one specific to summer camps and one that is just more general recreation information as well. So this outlines a lot of what we looked at, a little bit more information and links to some of those funding sources, a summary of when registration opens for many of the local inclusive or specialized camps, as well as a sort of quick cheat sheet down here at the bottom in terms of getting those dates. So that might not actually be the most up-to-date one. It's pretty up-to-date. I think that one's pretty up-to-date. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. And I would like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. I do see that there are some questions in the chat. So once we finish the recording, we will move over and make sure that we have answered all of those. But thank you, Olivia, for coming out tonight and sharing that information with us. And I hope that everybody has an amazing summer.